You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but the truth is, tomorrow is where dreams go to die. If you are in your early 20s, nearly a third of your statistical lifespan has already vanished while you are waiting for the perfect time to begin. We usually blame procrastination on a lack of willpower, but it's actually a biological calculation. Your brain has a habit of fixating on the immediate effort required to act, while the long-term reward remains a distant, blurry abstraction. On any given day, you make about 50,000 decisions, but you aren't the one making most of them. Research suggests that 95% of these choices are handled by your subconscious mind, essentially running your life on autopilot based on old habits. This autopilot has a singular goal: survival through energy conservation. It hoards power within your mitochondria, keeping your body in a low-effort comfort loop. The mince it senses an immediate threat, it will keep you in this state of biological sleep indefinitely. This is why temporary motivation feels so thin. You are trying to use a tiny 5% sliver of conscious will to fight an evolutionary machine that is specifically designed to keep you inactive and safe. Your brain will only unlock its hoarded energy when it believes the situation is dire. It needs to see an emergency to justify the cost of intense effort. This was the turning point for author Robert Greene. After a stroke paralyzed the left side of his body, he could no longer perform basic tasks like tying his shoes. This brush with death didn't slow him down. It created a sense of urgency that forced him to become more active and prolific than ever before. This is the logic behind memento mori, the practice of keeping a physical reminder of death nearby. It isn't about being morbid. It's about manufacturing a psychological emergency, so your brain stops treating your time as if it were infinite. Steve Jobs famously stood before a mirror every morning and asked himself if he would be satisfied with his day if it were his last. When the answer was no for too many days in a row, he used that friction to force a change in his work. By confronting the reality of your own end, you snap out of bihushi, that state of unconscious drifting, and move into hush, where your focus becomes intense and your energy stores finally open up. Once you've awakened that energy, you have to aim it at a singular target. Without a specific obsession to channel that urgency, the power just dissipates into anxiety. Obsession is the only way to effectively negotiate with your subconscious. By fixating entirely on the reward, you convince your brain that the pain of the work is irrelevant compared to the goal. Leonardo da Vinci demonstrated this when he studied the mechanics of birds. He didn't just sketch them, he spent thousands of hours observing exactly how wings interacted with the air, eventually allowing his obsession with flight to bridge the gap between art and engineering. We see the same pattern with Charles Darwin. Compared to his cousin Francis Galton, who was considered a polymath and far more intelligent, Darwin's IQ was relatively unremarkable. But while Galton constantly jumped between different fields of study, Darwin spent 20 years obsessing over a single idea. That relentless fixation allowed him to outpace his more gifted peers and produce work that changed biology forever. Obsession isn't a personality flaw. It is the mechanism that allows you to bypass your brain's natural resistance to difficult, long-term tasks. Going into isolation to do deep work is a popular strategy, but it's incomplete. You need a finish line. Without a planned ending, your work phase just becomes another form of drifting. Consider the explorer Balboa. He successfully discovered the wealth of the Pacific, but he failed to plan his exit. Because he had no strategy for how to finish and protect his legacy, he was eventually caught and executed by the very kingdom he served. This is why you must plan for the prestige, a hard deadline like the final day of the year where your isolation ends and you show your results to the world. A comeback only counts if it eventually becomes visible. Engineering a transformation requires a measurable conclusion. If you don't define exactly how and when your journey ends, you will spend the rest of your life preparing for a start that never actually happens. You are left with a simple choice. You can accept the intense, temporary friction of daily discipline today, or carry the weight of regret for the rest of your life. You can recover lost money or status, but you can never retrieve a wasted year. Right now, the time remaining in 2025 is melting away faster than you realize. The local cemetery is full of more than just bodies. It is filled with thousands of incomplete dreams and unexecuted ideas that were buried alongside people who thought they had more time. You can choose to stay in the subconscious loop, or you can use the reality of your own limited time to force an obsession that finally gets you to the finish line.